So, Scott.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, everybody. Listen,
Good
thank y'all so much
morning.
for having me. It's an honor to be on. I'm excited to share why Mississippi matters this election year and why we're going to win the U.S. Senate in Mississippi and make a big difference.
Yes, yes. We're looking forward to it. I think I saw you on a TikTok one day, and I did my research, and I said, okay, I see what you're talking about, and I think that the listeners out in Holly Springs who can vote for you, they may need to hear what you're about and what you have for them and what you're doing for the community. So I'm going to start off with a quick question for you, if you don't mind, because I know that your time is limited, but I wanted to talk about number one, healthcare and rising costs.
Right.
So Mississippi faces increasing health insurance premiums and fragile healthcare systems, including potential cuts to Medicaid and the end of enhanced federal subsidies that could leave many residents uninsured and strain rural hospitals. How would you work in the U.S. Senate to protect affordable health care and coverage for Mississippians and support rural hospitals that are struggling to stay open?
Well, first, I want to say that our current United States Senator, Cindy High Price Smith, that's what I call her, High Prices, has totally betrayed us when it comes to healthcare costs. You know, I'm currently the district attorney for my area of the state. I'm in my third term. And I understand from the people in my community how important it is to have affordable health care. That's really a basic human right. If you can't have access to health care, then you really are going to struggle. And what motivated me to run, the final straw, was when she cut taxes for people making $600,000 a year. Now, the reality is we know there are very, very few people in Mississippi that make $600,000 a year. Those millionaires and billionaires live outside our state. And she cut their taxes by cutting the health care of 140,000 Mississippians. Those are people in Marshall County that we see at the grocery store, that people that we go to church with. They're hardworking Mississippians that are not going to have access to health care because Cindy Hyde Smith betrayed them. But it got worse. I mean, as you point out in your question, since then, after she cut health care for 140,000 Mississippians, she voted to take away federal support for people that are on the Affordable Care Act. For the last couple of years, since 2020, people that get health care from the exchange, they've been getting more federal support. That disproportionately helps working Mississippians. The Republican insurance commissioner projects that because Cindy Hyde Smith voted for those subsidies to go away, at least 200,000 Mississippians are likely to drop off health care.
Wow.
And prices are going to go up at least 300%. So what that tells us is that people that we know, we love, people that we care about Mississippi, they're not going to stop getting sick. They're not going to stop getting sick. They're just not going to have health care. And because they don't have health care, they're going to delay going to the hospital. When they finally do have to go to the hospital, you know, unfortunately, a lot of them will not be able to pay for the care, which means the hospitals are going to get uncompensated care. So even if you have health insurance, your hospitals are going to lose the services that they're able to provide people with insurance because Cindy High Price Smith betrayed them. So, you know, to answer your question directly, the first thing I'm going to do as the next United States Senator for the state of Mississippi, with the help of the good people from all 82 counties, is I am going to cancel those healthcare cuts, and I'm going to save our healthcare, and I'm going to save our hospitals. We have to have a United States senator that puts Mississippi healthcare where Mississippi healthcare matters more than anything else.
I agree. Any questions, Real?
Yeah. So I guess my question, aside from the healthcare, how would you handle when you get elected this corruption we're seeing in DC?
Yeah, I mean, there's a Cindy High Price Mill. She's the number one culprit, right? I mean, her Republican opponent has pointed out that for the last 2 years, she has been using campaign finance funds. So lobbyists and big corporations and PACs give her money, and what she does with that money, she goes to Las Vegas and gets a corporate vacation. I mean, and this is not me saying this. This is her Republican opponent pointing out that she's basically getting, you know, corporate vacations with taxpayer money. She also was in committee. There was a vote to ban insider trading for people in Congress. She was the deciding vote to not let that bill come up. So there's a couple of things that I can commit to the voters in Mississippi that have been so good to me and my family. One,
And then,
I, I
okay.
absolutely am going to support a ban on insider trading. It is totally corrupt that a person who has access to information because of being a public servant will use that to enrich themselves. That's shameful. And so I will absolutely support that. The second thing is I will be completely transparent about where my income comes from and who donates to my campaign. Because we can't have big corporation, corporate lobbyists controlling the people who are supposed to be representing us. And so that's my second commitment, transparency. And it's very, very important because we're not going to get people to believe in our system again and believe in our leaders if they don't commit to actually putting public service above profiteering off politics.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Does that answer your question, real?
It does. I got one more real
Go
Yeah,
quick.
let's
ahead.
go. I
Go
love
ahead.
it. Let's go. I got plenty of time.
Um, so I heard you mention big corporations. I didn't hear you say anything about APAC. What
Yeah.
is your stance on APAC?
Well, if you look this up, because people ask me about this, and I say voters should do their research because if you look at APAC and who they're supporting this campaign, they're the biggest supporter of Cindy High Price Smith. I mean, there's an article in the Magnolia Tribune where they talk about how much money she's been getting from APAC. That's the vast majority of her campaign finances. And so for me, I want my campaign to be people power. I want low dollar Mississippians, people that that care about their community, care about Mississippi First leadership. I want them to be the people that support this campaign. I'm proud to have gotten contributions from all 82 counties in Mississippi, and I'm proud to have raised a record amount of money because it is hard work. The reality is, I wish that raising money wasn't so important in politics, but the reality is, you can't get your message out if you're not able to raise money to reach voters who are busy. And the other thing that I'm very proud about is, Cindy Highsmith has not done a town hall in Mississippi in the entire time she's been in the United States Senate. Not one time has she opened herself up to the public and allowed them to come ask her questions, find out what matters to them. She had done that in 8 years. Now think about that from an analogy of an employer. Like, what employee could go 8 years without doing an interview with their employer, without having to do a sit down? I mean, if an employer was told by the employee, listen, I don't have to answer your question. I'm not gonna listen to you. I don't have to tell you about what I think or what I'm doing. That employer would fire that employee. Well, that's what Cindy High Price Smith has been doing. She has been totally, ignoring the employers, her employers, the Mississippi voters. And that's why my campaign is the total opposite. If you go to my social media, I'm all across the state, the Gulf Coast, to the Mississippi Delta, Northeast Mississippi, DeSoto County. I'm all over the state, and I'm constantly listening to voters. Too many of our leaders talk first, listen second. I listen first, talk second. I want to know what matters to voters because those are the people that have to be in the driver's seat for effective leadership.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. Yes, fair enough. Let's go to DJ. DJ,
Well, real just he knows that's my question. He knows that's my APAC question, okay? But it's good to hear that you were able to speak on that because a lot of us out here we're not going with the APAC candidates anymore. So there, I think I don't have a question, but I think I just want to make a comment or a statement or two. I just want to let you know as a candidate, some of the things that people are looking for
Yeah.
in a candidate.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
In a winner. All right. Affordability, 1 trillion% has to be addressed. And I mean, affordability, addressing that hits from all over the angle, both ends of the aisle. It's not a blue, red, black, white, straight, gay, none of that. It's right there. It includes everyone. Affordability must be addressed. And how can we possibly get back to being able to afford our lives again?
Yeah.
I
Can I
think
answer
that
that?
health care. I'm
Okay, I'm
finished.
sorry. No, I thought you were done.
That's all right. That's all right. I get long winded sometimes in my
That's
own
okay.
voice. Healthcare. A must. We got to figure out a way, and I would like to hear that from more of the candidates. We understand, and that it is important to point out those who put us in this position. Their names need to be dropped as many times as you just did to let people know this wasn't a good go for because look where we are now. But I also want to hear, you know, how do you guys anticipate getting us back into a better position? Now, we do understand that you don't want to go too far with it because if you win, they're going to say, well, he said he was going to be able to do this. Not understanding that you can only bring it to the floor and it has to be voted on and moved from there. I got to all the time explain to people when they said, well, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. No, they took it to the floor like they said they were.
Mhm.
It just didn't pass. All right, two different things. But I think that it's important that, those things be addressed to how we can go back to finding something similar to our old lives because we understand that the old lives are gone.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't go back there because if we go back there, we can end up here again. So we don't want to go back there. We need a ladder that takes us above that and beyond. We understand that it's going to take a long time to get us there. And so I love to preach to my family and friends. You got to be patient. We can't put somebody in a position and then when they don't do what we want them to do immediately, then they're no good for us. And we start to speak against, we're not going to do that this time around. This time around, we're going to find a way to stick together. But we need you guys to stick together too. And we need you to be the glue. We're willing to be the pieces that you need to move with, but we need you guys to be the glue. So I just want to say, I wish I could vote for you, but I don't even live out there. But I think you're going to do great. I did look into a little bit of what you stand for, and I'm in agreement. So I think you're going to do an amazing job. Stay away from APAC because we don't play APAC.
Yeah, I've
Hey
got no money.
guys, find this gentleman on Act Blue and donate. It's the grassroots. We want change.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we got to put a little bit in the pot to get the change.
absolutely.
And
So,
I will say that, I've been blessed. I've had a lot of different people who don't typically give to political campaigns donate to my campaign because
mhm.
I am trying to inspire them. I'm a younger candidate to be running for the United States Senate. That's one thing we gotta bring some young voices to our politics. But you know, I also want to point out about affordability because you're absolutely right. When I ask voters what matters to them, that's typically raising wages and lowering costs are absolutely what I hear the most. And the chaos from the tariff policy is what driving up the cost of living in,
Mhm.
in Mississippi.
Hmm.
I mean, our senator has totally given away her voice when it comes to tariffs. It's causing chaos. It's causing prices to go up. And so low tariffs are going to cause low prices. And so that's very important to me that we get prices down. And you're right about healthcare as well. We have to deliver. But I do think that the point, there's a lot of frustration in not delivering for voters. And I feel that in rural Mississippi. I mean, I think that too often there are a lot of rural places in our country that are ignored, not just from Republicans, from national Democrats too. Not all of them, but too many ignore them. And there's
Right,
a lot of frustration by that. So this time we have to pay attention to the rural Democrats running. We have to support their campaigns. And when they get in office, we have to deliver for voters. We have
right,
to. If we do not deliver, as you said, patience are going to last but so long. And so I'm very rooted in the community. I'm a listener. And when with the help of, with the blessing from God and from the help of the voters across Mississippi, when we're blessed to be elected, we are going to do everything we can to deliver as fast as we can because that is the only way we're going to show the country that Mississippi matters.
right. Have
Absolutely.
you ever heard of Panther Burn, Mississippi?
I have not, no ma'am.
Okay. It's a
So
very tiny dot on the map. It's just a little teeny tiny, but we have a guy that hangs out in our live from Panther Burns, Mississippi. And I think population what, Key 200, maybe not even that.
185, 185.
Okay.
Yeah.
That 185. So I wonder who caters to that. And I'm gonna ask that gentleman that.
Yeah.
Who's running in his district? If it well, I guess it is a district even with 185 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Home of
all 82
favor.
counties. If you live in Mississippi, you can vote March 10th. Scott Colom for United States Senate. That's the primary, and then the general election will be November 3rd. So we need record turnout. This is a very important election,
It
as you all
is.
been pointing out.
Yes.
Your comments, I was listening to it before I got on. You all were talking about why this is so important and why we have to have representation that puts the needs of the working people first.
Absolutely. Miss Morningstar, uh, go ahead and come off mute. And I know you've got a question sitting there
Yeah,
pretty in red. Go ahead and
I
let's
was
hear from Miss Morningstar.
absolutely. So thank you for joining us today. You really like brightening us up, getting us ready, getting us amped up. And I'm sure our Mississippi Holly Springs listeners are excited about getting
Shout
our
out to Holly
in.
Springs.
All right. Shout out.
Yes.
So education and workforce development.
Yeah.
Mississippi's education system faces funding disparities and workforce development challenges that impact long term economic success. How would you address federal support for public education and job training initiatives that help prepare Mississippians for the jobs of tomorrow?
That's such a great question. I have two daughters, 7 and 9, Lucy and Maddie, and they're in public schools. And
Mhm.
so nobody has to convince me how hard our teachers are working. I mean, I drop my kid off, 25 kids in the class, one teacher, and it's hard enough for me to handle two. I can't imagine handling 25 and having a teacher. So
Trust
our
me.
teachers, Lord knows they are working their tails off. They're so important. So one of our proposals is no income tax for teachers because the federal government does not provide any direct payments to teachers. And so if we're not going to provide any money to teachers, we definitely don't need to be taxing them. So teachers making under 75,000 a year, which disproportionately helps teachers in Mississippi, they would automatically get a 15%, basically a raise because they would not have to pay income taxes, federal income taxes. So that's one thing that is very important to me because we have to make sure our teachers understand that they're how important they are to us, and you do that through compensation. And so that's one thing. The second thing, when you talk about workforce development and making sure we deal with disparities from the federal side, there needs to be more checks and balances when it comes to federal money coming to places like Mississippi. There were you all probably know they were talking about in Minnesota. There was, I guess, some allegations that Somalians were stealing welfare money. Well, in Mississippi, we had a welfare scandal.
Hmm.
Brett Favre was accused
Get into
of
it.
money, $5 million for speeches he didn't give. Wrestlers, I mean, tens of millions of federal dollars were stolen from hardworking Mississippians. And that didn't get the national coverage it deserved, which was shameful. But that was an awful example of federal dollars coming to Mississippi and it being stolen from working people. So we have to have more. We need to make sure that money goes directly to people and not give these agencies the ability to give it to their buddies. And that comes with workforce development. You can have federal money go to workforce development, but if you have leaders that are more concerned about giving the money to their buddies than actually giving it to the communities that need the workforce development, you don't make the difference that you need. And so that's what I would do from the federal side. And that comes from real life experience with Mississippi people. And what they tell me is too often they feel like the federal money is in the wind, but it never reaches the ground. It never reaches the hands of the people that need it. And so my point of view is let's get it into the hands of the people that need it and take out the middleman that's deciding who is worthy.
Absolutely. Very well said. I agree with that 1,000%. Our teachers are valuable. They are teaching the next generation, and how dare
Exactly.
we not make sure that they have everything that they need? What happened to family values and children first and all that? They preach about it, but every time we turn around, the kids are getting the short end of the stick. We don't even want to pay the teachers. It's
It's
ridiculous.
long overdue. Teachers
It
have
is.
been treated so they have been underpaid
For
for
so long.
so
Exactly.
long, but they continue to show up for our kids, and
And buy out
that's
of
why they
pocket.
deserve it. Exactly.
It's ridiculous, but I'm glad to see you here, Scott. I'm glad to hear you with your plans, and I wish I could vote for you, but I'm hoping that the folks out there in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and those who we reach, please, if you got the capability and the ability, please vote for Scott. We need to make some serious changes. We don't have time to sit back and deal with these people who have their hand out and are getting paid by the man with the black hands and his team of Decepticons. We're done with that.
Right.
It's time to put some work in it, and it's time for us, meaning us, to work. We got to take a quick commercial break, but Scott, let me ask you: can you stick around for a little while longer? We got a few more questions. I know
Yeah,
you're
sure. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna try this one more time. Um, you are listening to Our Place of Community Connection on WKRA 92.7 The Change. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
You're locked in to WKRA 92.7, the voice of the community. And listen, 2026 is all about showing up and shining. That is why we rock with Morningstar Boutique by Tam, where fashion meets confidence, purpose, and style. From everyday chic to head-turning statement pieces to some fly arm candy, Morningstar has it all. And while you're shopping, tap into the community. Discover Black-owned and minority-owned businesses at ourplugs.com. Also, check out MorningstarBoutiqueByTam.com, where your light owns your style.
This is Transformation Training Academy. If you're someone that people walk up to and just talk to and tell all their business to and they don't know you, this is your sign. If you're ready to level up, Transformation Training Academy is ready for you. Coach Nikki and Counselor Nikki push you past your limits into your purpose. We help you break patterns, build confidence, and create real change. Your breakthrough isn't someday, it's today. Contact us at info@thetransformationtrainingacademy.com.
At Lovership Apparel, we believe what you wear should remind you of who you are. This is where love meets style. From our signature beautiful hoodies created to remind you to show up as your full authentic self, to our bold her shirts designed for women who know their worth and wear it proudly. Lovership Apparel is more than clothing, it's a movement. Our comfortable confidence-boosting leggings move with you, while our statement backpacks carry your essentials and your purpose wherever life takes you. Every piece is intentionally designed to inspire self-love, confidence, and authenticity, because you deserve to wear something that speaks life into you. Whether you're stepping out, showing up, or standing firm in who you are, Lovership Apparel is made for you. Visit lovershipapparel.com and wear the reminder, be you to the fullest.
Welcome to Compassion Counseling and Training Services, LLC, where healing takes flight. I am Nicole Wiley, licensed independent clinical social worker, and we empower children, individuals, families, and couples through individualized therapy via telehealth. Using evidence-based approaches like CBT and mindfulness, we help clients build resilience and rediscover their wings. If you're ready to begin your journey, visit CompassionCounselingAndTrainingServices.com.
And we are back. You are listening to Our Plugs of Community Connection on WKRA 92.7 The Change. Okay, so we left off speaking about teachers. Let's get into broadband and infrastructure.
Yeah.
So access to reliable broadband remains a significant barrier in many rural parts of Mississippi, affecting education, healthcare access, and economic opportunity. What actions would you take in the Senate to ensure expanded broadband, improved infrastructure, and rural connectivity across the state?
That's such a great question. I mean, we all know broadband is now the new electricity. I mean, it's as essential to the growth of a community, the ability for students to learn can't happen without access to the internet. It's access to the world. And so it's got to be a priority from federal resources. So my goal would be to bring federal resources to make sure every household, every community has access to reliable internet. Now, I can't help but point out that Cindy High Price Smith voted against the infrastructure package that's being used to bring rural internet to Mississippi. And that's such an example of a betrayal to Mississippi families and Mississippi communities. You know, just think about that. billions of dollars coming to your state to build roads and bridges, internet, access to in the Gulf Coast. The money was used to bring the Amtrak to New Orleans, so people could travel to New Orleans for the weekend and not have to worry about driving. And she voted against all that money to come to the state of Mississippi. Now she loves to show up at the ribbon cuttings, bragging about the money, not telling anybody that she voted against it. Just total hypocrisy. And she's upset because she finally got somebody that's calling her out on it. So, that's a great contrast between her and I. I understand that as a leader, I've got to put the needs of the community first, the needs of the people that are the students that are in rural parts of the state, making sure that they can do their homework, make sure teachers have access to the information technology they need to teach classes, make sure hospitals have access to the internet they need for technology. So much of our world is based on access to the internet. I would understand that has to matter. Cindy Price Smith totally betrayed us. That didn't matter enough to her. And so it's a great contrast.
I just have one more question, follow-up question. And this isn't really directed to you, Scott, but Cindy, where is the money? LaShandra, where's the money? Because if you're not putting it and using it towards Mississippi, what y'all doing with the money? I have questions. I really do. And there should be an audit, but that's a whole nother life. Go ahead, Real. You know me. I'll ask in his heartbeat. Where's the money, LaShandra? Where's it at? Go ahead, Real.
So, I almost lost my train of thought. Dog came in and he was trying to jump on me.
I like your hat.
Thank you, sir.
You look like a Mississippian with that hat.
So now, look, I do what I can. So now, for me, what I did want to say to you is right now, like in the red wall states, what we're seeing is nothing short of almost magical. Right now, voters in those red wall states have woken up. We're seeing it in Mississippi. We're seeing it in Louisiana. Hey, take
Texas.
Texas, take this wave, seize it, and ride it. And that office that you keep saying, if the Lord blesses you, no. He's already blessed you with this office. Speak it into existence.
Yes, sir.
And last but not least, so I don't steal any of DJ's thunder, maybe she can remind you about ballot curing.
That's what I'm going to bring up next.
Okay, so I'm done.
Okay.
It has definitely
So
been a pleasure speaking to
listen,
you.
Larry, Linda, Scott.
Thank you.
We're
Yes,
seeing videos all over the place where people are being forced to cast a provisional ballot.
yeah.
I think that what we're missing, or what I'm missing at the end of each of these videos, is these people actually going back and saying that they cured their votes, or they will be curing their votes. And what a lot of people don't know is that these votes they have to be cured in most states. I maybe in some not, but in the majority of the states they have to. Well, a lot of the states, let's
Yeah.
go with that. A lot,
Yeah.
they have to be cured. Now, if you ask me and my thoughts of mind, I think that this is intentional. It's too many not to be intentional. Um, it was intentional the last time, so I can only assume that it will be again. So I would like to see our candidates and these high creators. I want them to start telling people to go back and cure their ballots, because they think that that's the end. They did that provisional and that's the end, and it's not.
Yeah. That's so important. And it goes back to another issue of why they're getting off the voter rolls is some of the circuit clerks are using the fact that people aren't showing up for jury duty as a justification to take them off the voter rolls. So that's another reason why showing up to jury duty is important, because there's been efforts to try to, you guys know about it, to try to federalize elections, get access to the voter rolls. That's not about protecting the vote. That's about attacking the vote.
Exactly.
And so you're right. people who do provisional ballots, even in Mississippi, they need to make sure that they follow up with their circuit clerk that it was actually counted. First of all, sometimes the error would even be wrong, so it shouldn't have been filed in a provisional, or they shouldn't have been given a provisional ballot. So they need to
Oh,
follow
we
up.
know that.
And
It's not an error. It was on purpose. I do not believe that them being told that they have to cast a provisional ballot was an error. I think that it's too many of them.
yeah, yeah. But we gotta, for me, I absolutely am tracking that and putting together a strategy about how to deal with it. And part of that
Mm.
is the circuit clerks. There's a lot of circuit clerks who can push back against these, pushing people off the voter rolls. There's election commissioners that can push back on it. We need to empower them, make sure that they are accountable to the voters and not to, federal efforts to undermine the vote. And
Yeah,
so that's
but
a big
I
strategy
I
too.
agree, Scott. But how do you convince people who are seeing attorneys disappear, mothers disappear? We're seeing people inside their own party disappear. I mean, the call is constantly coming from inside their own house. So, I mean, how do you convince those who need
Yeah.
to stand up when they see others who have done similar things all of a sudden are no longer with us?
I think we have to empower them. With my friend Real Dusse said, you got to look at the track record of successes we've had. In Mississippi,
Yeah.
and we've stood up against the attacks. And so, you have to empower people that their vote can make a difference. We've got a track record of the vote making a difference. And Mississippi, what I like to tell people is we're not as red as people think. We've been cracking that glass. Our candidate for governor, our Democratic candidate for governor, Brandon President, he got within 3 points of winning, 27,000 votes. We cracked the glass. We cracked the glass last year. We broke the supermajority in the state Senate. People thought we'd never be
Right.
able to do that.
Well,
We're
listen,
gonna break the
I
glass.
will never tell
We're gonna break the
anybody
glass.
not to vote. I don't even want to talk to nobody that didn't.
Right.
Okay, don't tell me you didn't because of XYZ, because elemental P take it that way. I don't want to hear it
Yep.
because it's important that we all get out there.
Yep.
It's important that we make this too big to rig. And
Right.
the only way that we're going to do that, each and every one of us must go out there and vote. What is it? Bluevote.com, Keith. What is it, real? I can't hear you.
Yeah, he's on mute.
I'm sorry.
Bluevoterguide.org.
Okay, that's where you need to go, people. Bluevoterguide.org. Check your registration. Make sure. Listen, start doing it now.
Right.
Once a week. I go in there and check. Yeah, I'm still good. I'm still good. Check that information now. You can also go on there. Keep this to that, not the same place you can find the candidates that you can
So
research.
the candidates are on Blue Voter Guide.
There
What
you
you're
go.
asking for, DJ, is on vote.org or
Yeah.
Go.
vote.gov or vote.com, if
Oh,
I'm not
right.
mistaken. Either
Blue
or.
voter guides. Go check out your candidates. Don't just say, oh, well, that's a dim, so I'm going for it.
Yes.
Because some of these dims are billionaires and millionaires, and they're still
And
taking money from
they're
APAC.
yes, they're
And
accepting
we don't
APAC
want that.
money, and they're actually in there for a reason. They're in there to take the votes away from Democrats, and we're not
Exactly.
doing that. I can name several people that I
Exactly.
feel like, all of a sudden Tallarico just jumped out of thin air, and Jasmine Crockett has been doing the work. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to accept Tallarico. No, we're not about to do that. And then you look at his record and the fact that he's taken money. Now, hey, I already cast my vote, and I'm going to continue to cast my vote. I'm not missing any elections, and I pray that everyone else does, because this is not for me. It's for my grandbabies and for
Right, that
their
part. And my
grandbabies.
great brands. Right. You're right.
Absolutely.
And
Miss
as far as
Morningstar,
oh,
Miss Morningstar, let me go ahead and get Miss Morningstar in here. Do you have any other questions, Miss Morningstar?
No, not questions, but I just want to say too that I hope that we are thinking forward as well when it comes to voting. Like, you guys have early voting coming up. in Mississippi. So start planning ahead, like for our senior citizens. Get buddy transportation so you can get them to the polls, get them there, make sure they have all their identification, because they are trying so many different ways to suppress our vote. This is a repeat of history. Like I just watched a video earlier today, and everything is repeating. I mean, the same language, the same verbiage, the same it's just all repeating history. So I just want to tell people in the state of Mississippi, because Mississippi is family to us, because we are on the radio daily. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have all your documents. Check your voter registration and go in there, and don't just, if they tell you you're not registered, don't just walk out. No, you go in, you
Flip
ask
the table.
questions. Yeah, you put your documents in front of them and say, give me, I'm voting today. You don't give up. We have to fight. That when we fight, we win. Who said that?
Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
When we fight, we win.
Every single time. Every single
We
time.
cannot give up.
Right.
Listen,
We don't have a
ladies and
choice.
gentlemen, I saw our win today. I literally saw a young black woman out today in the cold, pushing her baby around in a stroller, registering people to vote.
No, that's how you do it.
Good for her. That is
That's how
amazing.
you do it.
When
Yes.
we fight, we do win.
That's how you
It's
know.
known history. It's a fact.
Every
don't
single
have a
time. We're going to
Thank y'all
fight
so
them
much for
at the
having me.
ballots. This is where we're going to win. We're
Yep.
going to go out there. First of all, we're going to support these candidates. It's time for the nursing home to be closed down. I'm sorry. Okay, the geriatric crib has got to go right
It's time
now.
for them to go sit
We
down
need
somewhere.
young minds, young thoughts,
The
young
young.
ideas. And the
Yes.
only way we're going to get that is we've got to support these candidates and get them into our house.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
We got to take that trash out. The trash got to go out.
Absolutely. So
Listen, I
Scott,
gotta go, y'all. Thank y'all so much for having me. It's been a
absolutely,
blessing.
It's
Scott.
nice
When
meeting
is
you. Good
early
luck
voting?
to you.
Definitely.
When
Appreciate
is
y'all.
early voting for Mississippi?
So we actually do not have no excuse early voting in Mississippi. We're the only state that doesn't have that. We have absentee voting for people over 65, and you can vote absentee if you are going to be out of county on election day, or if you have to work out of county on election day. So that's one thing I want to do when we win the United States Senate. We're going to have, we need to really make sure we have across the board early voting in every state.
Exactly.
We have, automatic registration, make sure people can register easily. We need to do a lot of stuff to make sure people have access to the ballot. But yeah, I'm very proud to be on. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Absolutely. I will be in touch. I will be
Win,
in
win,
touch.
win. I'll come back on.
Right.